Let me just first start out by saying, man, that I appreciate you coming on to the platform. It's an honor and a pleasure to have the opportunity to interview you, bro. Um, for
Appreciate
those
you.
of you that don't know who Tony the Tiger Lopez is, he's let me just go through some of his a little bit about his background and some of his stats real quick. So he was a professional boxer from 1983 to 1989. He's out of Sacramento, California. He's a three-time world champion, a two-time IBF super featherweight, a WBA lightweight champ. In 2008, he was an Olympic bronze medalist. He's got 50 wins, 36 by KOs, 8 losses, and a total of 59 fights. So those are your stats, bro. Now I'm just gonna jump straight into it. And start with my questions, and you can just dig in where you want to dig in, man. So what initially got you interested in boxing?
I inherited it. My dad did it. My dad was a fighter from Mexico, and then he was going to come over here and start fighting. But met my mom, and back in the day, it's not like it is today. Back in the day, either it was hard to be married and be a real good boxer. So back then, you had a girlfriend and you told her to kick rocks when you had to train, or there was very few people that were married and still box. There were some, obviously, but not very, very, very few. And so he thought he met my mom and said he'll just quit and go to work, and that's what he did.
Okay. What was your life like growing up as a kid with your family life, bro?
It was we didn't have a lot of money. Uh, my dad was born and raised in Mexico. Well, born and raised in Mexico for the first few years of his life. Then at a young age, he came over by himself to the United States, and you know started doing his thing over here. And for me, it was just like I was raised very, very Hispanic from Mexico because that's the way my dad did it. My brother is the one with the brains, per se. He's the one that went to college, graduated, got his degrees, did all that stuff. Me, I like to play around. I was in the streets. I was doing stupid things. I was that guy. So I graduated, because my dad told me if I did, he'd kill me. So I graduated, and then I went to college for a year, and I thought, I'm wasting my time. So I kept on working, and that's kind of how I did it.
What influenced you the most, and how?
You know what? There was never no influence, not even from my. As a matter of fact, my parents, my whole family didn't want me to fight at all. Period. Because you had to train, you had to run, and they knew I was into partying and goofing off and getting in trouble. That was my thing. And but for some reason, and I couldn't tell you why. One day, at 10 years old, I just decided, no, that's a lie. I do remember why. Because I was down the street, and my brother, his trainer had came picked him up to take him to the gym. My brother was already training. He's 4 years older than me, and he was going around the corner, and there I was getting ready to get into a fight. And so, he said, "Hey man, you want to fight?" I go, "Yeah." I thought he wanted to watch it, So I got a little pumped up, and I go, "Yeah." I go, "Watch this." He goes, "No, no, no." He goes, "Jump in the car and let's go." I go, "What?" Go, "Jump in the car, let's go." All right. So I let the dude stand there, jumped in the car, went to the gym, never stopped going. I didn't stop until I was 17. I stopped for about 8 months. I got tired of it.
So your fighting career spanned over 16 years. How far were you when you realized that this was your passion, that fighting was your passion?
You know what, bro? It really was. It's not really a passion. It's just something that I do.
Yeah, I
I like
understand that.
it. Yeah, it's you know, I mean, on the real, after a fight, shit, there even on a loss, some fights I lost, shit, I was out partying that night. It
Yeah.
was just something that I did. It didn't define me.
But
But
there's some. Go ahead, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I'm sorry.
But I'll tell you what, honestly, boxing and the business of boxing
Mhm.
taught me a lot about life. It helped me grow up to be a better person. It really did.
Right. I say passion because, there's some guys that get into it because, maybe they got a father that wants them to get into boxing, but their heart's not really into it. There's other guys that they get into it for whatever reason, but their heart's not really into it. You know what I mean? So were you from the gang life and you were exposed? You said you were exposed to it. So I know you said you grew up in the hood.
Yeah, you know what, man? But I never really got into it. You know what I mean? It just wasn't my thing. I like watch this. You can't tell me. I'm that guy that says if someone says, "Hey, man, let's go jump this dude." No, man, why don't you go jump him on yourself? I mean, ain't you man enough to do it yourself? I would do it myself. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to have someone anybody back me up because if I can't watch this, if I get my shit into something I can't handle, I can run real fast and I can run real far. I ain't tripping. Hey, it's live to see tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But my problem is I just don't run. I'll handle it. I'm that guy. I've always been that guy. I'll talk shit, but if I'm wrong and you prove me that I'm wrong, hey man, I'm sorry, bro. My bad. I'm wrong. You're right. I have no problem saying that. And if they got a problem with me when I admit that I'm wrong, then that's on them, not me. We can handle it from that part. But I'm 60 years old, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm an old dude. I'm happy. I'm cool. Yeah, I don't. But still, at 60 years old, I ain't running. And
I
I'll
say
still
the
do
same thing, bro.
it. Yeah, for real. For real.
Yeah, man. Hey, check it out. This is off out of sequence right here, but you know what? I heard about you in 19, I want to say it was 1989, bro. I went to prison at a young age, 18 years old. I ended up in Susanville, but I heard about you in Susanville. What I'm trying to figure out, or what I was thinking about was, you know, why did I hear about you? Because I mean, I know you were a three-time world champion, and you were a major, you were somebody that a lot of the homeboys from Sacramento, a lot of them looked up to you. You were a legend over there in Sacramento. But were you kind of tied into the gang life? Because it's like, were the homies mentioning you because you were kind of tied in out there on the streets, or because it was just you were out there in Sacramento blowing up?
No, I think I never really did the gang stuff. I was always I always considered myself a gang of one. I don't get myself into shit I can't take myself out of. You know what I mean? And I handle my business the way I handle my business, like just like anybody else would.
Right.
I've always been like that. I've been cruising Franklin Boulevard since I think 13, 14 years old in my own car. Because that's the way I was raised. And if I had something that had to happen to go down on Franklin, then I handled it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Any way they wanted to handle it, I handled it. That was just me. But I have a lot of friends in the gang life. They never try to tag me in because they know me. That's just not who I am.
Right.
You know,
Smart,
I,
man.
yeah, just for me, man. If that's your thing, that's your thing. I was cool, but like it's not my thing.
Right.
So I don't know, man. I'm that guy that I hate to be told what to do. I don't want to be told what to do by anybody, man. When my mom and dad told me, they used to have to beat my ass sometimes because I didn't do it because they told me to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when they start kicking my ass, then I did it. But until then, I can't do anything. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It just wasn't my road to go down to. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. And do you believe that boxing kept you out of trouble?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, for sure. There was time, well, because I was a true. Well, watch. My family didn't want me to fight. Nobody in my family wanted me to fight. They said I was goofing off too much. I was gonna get in trouble. I was gonna get killed on the street. Something was gonna happen. They didn't want me to They didn't want me to train. That I would take it serious. The whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
But it's something that I like doing. I like to fight. I've always liked fighting. I remember my first fight was in kindergarten. No lie, I remember it like it was yesterday. And once I punched that kid, man, it just felt really good. And it solved the problem. So
Yeah.
that's the way I solved my problems. And so I just like doing it. And then when my brother was doing it, and he was pretty successful at it. Then you know what? Honestly, I was in college. I was 20 years old, and I either wanted to be this is crazy. I either wanted to be a cop or I wanted to be a boxer.
Yeah.
And so I went to college, and I was taking all my AJ administration of justice classes to become a cop. And then I took the test to enroll as a community service officer, CSO, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to the class, I signed my list, and I took a test. I passed first in my class, which is shocking, because I wasn't a really school guy, no soy pendejo, but I wasn't really a brainiac, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then so I got the letter that says, "Hey, I don't remember what day it was. They said, let's come Wednesday to the on Richardson Boulevard. Come over here, sign up. You're good to go. You're in. You passed first in class." And I'm going, "Oh wow!" And I remember standing on in the where everybody's in the open area at the college, and I'm going, "Man, do I really want to? Do I want to fight, or do I want to be a cop?" And I always thought, man, I remember sitting by the stairs and thinking, you know what? I can always be a cop, but you can only fight for a certain time. Then I'll leave that and become a cop. You know, but if I become a cop first, I'll never be able to box because I'll
Yeah.
be doing what I'm doing. So I thought, man, it was just a flip of a coin, man. I thought I'll box, fuck it. And then I start training. I turned. As a matter of fact, that day, I decided that the next day I went down to the state athletic commission, got the paperwork, did all my paperwork, turned it in, and I didn't tell my parents what I did. I didn't tell anybody what I did until I got approved. I went and did all my physical, my physical tests and all that stuff to turn pro. The day I did it, they gave me my license. The license came in the mail. It was about a month or two. I don't remember what it was. And then everybody ate at my mama's house. We're Mexicans because everybody eats at mama's house, right?
Yeah.
So we all had dinner at my mom's house, and I walk in the door a little late again, and I go, "Hey guys," I go, because everybody's at the table eating. I go, "Guess what I did?" They're going, "Now what you do?" They're all, "Now what'd you do?" I'm going, "Well, I turned pro," and I showed them my card. And they go, "No, Tony, you didn't." And I go, "Yeah, no, I didn't." And then they're telling me, "Hey, my brother said, hey, man, you better watch out, man, because you're going to get your ass kicked. These guys are serious. They're making money. You play too much. You're not serious." I'm going, "Dude," I go, this is just me because I'm always talking smack. So and they all got mad because I go, "Hey, bro, you know what, bro? Ain't nobody kicking my ass." I go, "Nobody's kicking my ass." I'll tell you what, I'll be the one kicking ass. I'm taking names. And he goes, "Okay." He goes, "You keep talking like that, dude." And that's what my brother is. He's just the older brother. You know what I mean? And then my
Yeah.
and then my dad said, finally, after everybody was trying to tell me no and this and that, my dad goes, "Okay, well, screw it. You know what? Let's get him a fight. If he gets his ass kicked, he'll quit. And if he doesn't, then he'll do what he does." And then so I go, "Yeah, give me a fight." And so my brother at the time was the main eventer in Sacramento. Yeah, Sal Lopez. He got to number 3 in the world at one time.
Yeah.
And then so I was fighting under his cards, under his. He was the main event. So the first card I fought on his. I don't remember the guy's name, but he had a couple fights already. And then they go, I'm in the dressing room, and I'm just kicking back, waiting. I wait for, I think I have my gloves on. I think at the time, I'm not sure. We were waiting. They said, "Okay, Lopez, come downstairs." So I get up to go, and then everybody's going, "Hey man, take this shit serious." I go, "Oh man, bro, don't trip, bro. I'll be back in about 10 minutes." Because the fight's it's less. That means I'm gonna knock the dude out. I'll be right back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he goes, "Hey man," he goes, "You better take this shit serious." I go, "Bro, I'll be back probably less than 10 minutes." So I walk down. He shakes his head like, "Man, this dude's nuts," right? So I go down there. And I think I knocked the dude out in like the first or second round. I don't remember what round it was. And I came back and I go, "Well," I go, "who's gonna be next?" He goes, "Man, you got lucky." I go, "Luck ain't got shit to do with it, bro." I go, "No one's kicking my ass." And that's how it started. That's how it
Yeah.
really started. And it went from there.
As an up and coming fighter, did you cross paths with or were you exposed to gang influenced areas? You already kind of touched on that. Your name was carried to prison in the prison system in the early 90s, like I told you, in the 80s and the 90s. So
Yeah, but I just knew a lot. I knew a lot of guys. A lot of my friends went to prison. You
yeah.
know, and I tell people all the time. I go, I was always there. I don't, man, I'm telling you, I don't know why I never got caught. Even if I did some stupid stuff that would send me to prison, I never got caught. Uh, you know, like for me, there were some guys that did stupid shit, and for me, you know, I kind of think things out first. If there's a chance of getting caught, it's a slight chance, I'll do it. If there's a high chance of getting caught, count me out, bro. It's like, but
Yeah,
I mean, come on, you know what I mean?
yeah,
But some guys they do it anyways. And then
yep,
when you get caught, no tachiando. You got, yeah, I mean, dude, you know you're gonna get caught, pendejo. Why would you do it? You know what I mean?
yeah.
So that
That
that was
sounded like
me.
me.
I don't know, man. I just the few times in my life when I really could have really gotten in trouble, man. I just didn't get caught, and there was like, I don't know. I can say at least 7 8 times in my life where if I would have stayed or I didn't leave, I'd have been in prison. You
Yeah.
know, and I'm not the prison type. That's not for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially if you don't like being told what to do. That definitely ain't the environment for you, man.
Real, for real. Yeah. You
Hey,
know.
so a parallel analogy would be Cain Velasquez, from the South Bay area, Gilroy. He was well known in areas he's never fought in. Do you feel from being from a local area and of Hispanic descent, others feel a connection to you, your struggles, even with non-boxing fans?
Yeah. That's true to a point. Uh, when I first won my title, man, I like people, man. Obviously, I'm a talker, right? I like to go out, have fun, kick back, have a couple beers, kick back, just chill. You know what I mean? I'll talk to blacks, whites, greens, yellows, browns, you name it. I don't care if they're cool with me. I'm cool with you. You know, I don't care. And
Yeah,
so, like for me, I remember walking into clubs. The hard part what people don't understand, like I guess when you're a celebrity, sort of, you're in everybody's face, or everybody knows who you are. I remember being at a club, a college club, and I had a couple of my bouncers with me, and then I had walked in there, and I was just chilling for a minute. I was talking to some people, and two Mexicanos came up to me and go, "Hey, homie," he goes, "You're Tony Tiger, huh?" And I go, "Yeah, man." I was ready to shake their hand and go, "Hey, man, what's up?" And he go, "Hey, man, let's go talk outside." But he said it kind of in a way like he wanted to do something, right? So I thought,
yeah,
let's go outside. I ain't tripping. So I walked outside, and then he brought two guys with him. But behind the two guys was my bouncer. He was like my bodyguard. His name was Big Will, right? And his homeboy was big, man. And he didn't play. He was from East Oakland, so he didn't play at all. And so we walk outside, and they're going, "Hey, man!" And instead of saying, "Hey, congratulations, watch your fights" or anything like that, they say, "Hey, man, you think you're bad, huh?" And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Just because you're the champ, you think you're bad, huh?" And I go, "No, but I go, but actually, I am bad, man. I'm the champion of the world, dude. I'm the baddest dude in my weight division in the world, bro. Anybody that boxes, I'm it." I go, "Why?" And then he goes, "Oh man, from where we're from, I don't care where you're from, bro." I go, "That has nothing to do with it." And then one guy goes, "Well," he goes, "maybe you could take us both." I go, "Man, I can't if I have to, you know." And then I said, "But I don't have to." And he looks at me and I go, "Look behind you, pendejo." And he turned around, he got this big old brother right behind him. That dude was huge, man. And then Big Will goes like, "What's up?" And then he kind of chilled out. And I go, "Man, that's sad, bro." I go, "How you gonna come to another Mexicano and talk shit like that, man? Why don't you come up and say, 'Hey, man, congratulations on what you do. I love your career, man. Why don't you throw some positive stuff out there?" But they don't. Not saying all of them. I'm saying, there was a few back in the day quite a few actually. And I don't try to act tough or hard. I'm the easygoing kind of guy. I'll talk to anybody. You know what I mean? So, but like for me, if you're Mexicano and you were selling tapes on the street, whether I listen to that music or not, I'd buy it to support you.
right.
Because as Mexicanos, I see ourselves, as one Mexicano starts to climb the ladder, there's 10 of us pulling him down, going, "Here, no, no, get down here." I'm going, "Why do they do that?" You know, we're a majority here in California, but yet we're in last place. But pendejos, that's why. Because we see someone climbing a ladder and we pull them down.
Yeah.
Instead of supporting somebody, I mean, watch. Anytime there's a Mexicano doing something, dude, I support it. I don't care. Whether I'm into what he's doing or not, I support it. Because that's what we're supposed to do. You know, we're right next to Mexico. I mean, Mexico's our neighbor. You know what I mean? We have more Mexicans here than shit. We're damn near a majority. But ask us how many mayors we have. Ask me how many who has the Mexicano ever run for governor in California? Not that I know of. And
Yeah.
I'm 60 years old. You know, but I've never heard of one. You know, I'm not even sure if there's any city councilmen that are Mexicano. I don't know because they're nowhere to be found. But yet we're damn near a majority in California. How's that going to happen? You know,
Yeah.
nothing changes until we make it change. You know what I mean?
That's true, man. Everybody talks about unity and every, but we're always trying to knock each other down, man. You know
That's
what I
right.
mean? That's exactly what it is, man. It's almost like people don't like to see the next man win.
Right.
You know,
That's the way to say it. Yep. Yes, sir. That's right. You're
hey,
right.
the innate drive to push beyond one's limits comes from within. If one doesn't have it naturally, how is it developed?
Skillfully. You know what? Watch this. You can always gain skill it with patience. I train some fighters. I train fighters now. You know, some of them have it, some don't get it, some take a lot longer to get it. But eventually, well, either they're gonna get it or they're not.
Right.
And if they're not, you tell them, hey man, you're not gonna get it. You know, let this be an exercise for you. You know, a way to lose weight, a way to stay in shape. Um, and there's some that I had this one guy who's a heavyweight, uh, and he was way off balance. I mean, for months. He's been doing it for like 6, 7 months. And I think about 3 weeks ago, he got it. It finally clicked. He looks good doing it now. He's hitting harder. He's throwing more combinations. His head moving his head better. He's doing a lot better. He's not, but don't get it twisted. He's not going to go out and be a world champion. But from what he was doing, 8 months later, he's got it. He can go out there as an amateur and do okay. You know, so it just takes time. Everybody's different.
I heard a wise man say that the problem with boxing now is that nobody's training these guys to fight southpaws.
Hey, I might be that wise guy.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's true. You know what? Watch, and I don't hate on anybody, man. Anybody that jumps in that ring gets props from me. You know that's it takes levels to get in there. It really does. Remember when I train fighters, I tell the parents, I go, let me do my job because you're trusting me to send your kids into war because that's what we're doing. We're sending them into war. And you're trusting me to give him every bit of equipment he needs to have to win that war. Let me do my job. And a
yeah.
lot of parents chill out. So I mean, I don't know how I got on. I lost the train of the train of your question. What was your question again?
The question was the innate drive to push beyond one's limit comes from, well, you already
Yeah.
no, that was the question. Or did I ask you a question off the cuff, man?
Yeah.
Oh no, it was. I said I heard a wise man say that the problem with boxing nowadays is that these guys ain't training nobody to fight southpaws.
You're right. Yeah, that's right. But watch this. Taking nothing away from Pacquiao because he did boxing huge favors. I mean, he did fabulous and more power to him. But the reason why to me, the reason why Pac-Man is Pac-Man today is because he fought in the late 90s and 2000s, I guess. Because back in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, they would have killed him. Not saying that. I mean, he would have had to face the Tiger Lopez, the Ruben Oliveras, the Julio Cesar Chavez. I mean, those are the creme de la creme. And we're talking about the 70s and 80s, and
Yeah,
even
I remember.
And the reason why I say people don't know how to fight a southpaw is because a southpaw has a right lead leg. A right-hander has a left lead leg.
Right.
A right-hander primarily moves to his left. A southpaw primarily moves to his right. His power hand is the left hand, which would be your jab, right? That's the southpaw's power hand. But if you notice with Pacquiao, you had top-rated fighters or champions or current champions or world champions or top-rated fighters moving to the right on a southpaw. Why would you do that? You're moving right into their power hand. That's stupid. No, who does that? Uh,
Yeah,
and you can jab a southpaw. People think you can't jab a southpaw. I jab southpaws all day long. I only fought like two or three southpaws in my whole career. But guess what? I've knocked out two or three southpaws. Because they're just as easy if you know how to do it.
yeah,
I got trained by a guy named Jerry Jacobs. He passed already. He was an older guy, and he took really good care of my brother, myself. He was like a trainer friend. He was just a good dude, and he took all his time and his money to take us to fights in San Francisco and all around the Northern California area. And what he had was a gym of dogs. We were all. I mean, I remember walking into the G Olympics one time, and one of the trainers, there was like 6 or 7 of us fighting that day, and then we're going up to the weigh-ins, and one of the coaches yelled, "Here comes Jerry Jacob and his pit bulls." Yeah, there you go. And because that's how we fought. That's how Jerry had us.
yeah,
So I got most of my training from Jerry. Although when I turned pro, Jerry wasn't training anymore, so I had a guy named Will Edgington. And then what Will did for me that really helped me out a lot was Will Edgington was also Bobby Chacon's trainer for the last 3 years of his career. So for the first 3 years of my career was Bobby Chacon's last 3 years, and I sparred and trained with him every single day. So when I drop my hands and stick my chin out, people go, "Hey, Bobby does that." Like, hey, I trained with him for 3 years. Something's gonna wear off.
yeah,
And I think Bobby helped me a lot more than I even think. Because a lot of my traits come from him. His toughness, his willing to stay there the whole fight. You could hit Bobby with a cannon, and that boy wouldn't fall. He was just a different fighter, man. He was a different type of dude.
yeah. Um, we're gonna break this up in a couple of segments because it only goes for 30 minutes. But let me ask you this last question before I open it back up. Your favorite or most cherished time during your career?
My daughter was born.
That's right.
Other than
That's
that,
what
if
I
you come
said.
on, yeah, that would be it. Second place would be, I guess, second place. If you're talking about my whole boxing career, in second place would be winning the first world title. From Rocky Lockridge back in '88.
I was just gonna
That would
ask
be,
you something about that.
yeah,
Mhm.
that would be my biggest. At that time, that was my biggest accomplishment in boxing at that time. Even after all the championship fights I had, fighting Chavez wasn't nothing. I mean, it was more exciting fighting that first world title.
Yeah.
By the time I fought Chavez, I already had what 14 world titles in or something like that. So it was like just a job.
Well, I might as well just ask you that question anyway. So you fought some world champions. You fought Julio Cesar Chavez. You fought Joey Gamache. You fought John Molina, George Paez, and then you fought Rocky Lockridge. They say that the Lockridge fight was was the your toughest opponent. What was if he was, why was he your toughest opponent? What was it about that fight that made him your toughest opponent?
Well, I remember getting ready for it. They said, as a fighter, they're telling you, Tony, you're getting a world title fight. You're getting a world title fight for 2 years before I actually got one. So by the time I got one, you're going, okay, whatever. When it comes, right? But at that time, there was Rocky Lockridge. There was I can't remember the white guy from Australia or whatever, and then there was a Zuma Nelson. I really wanted to fight a Zuma Nelson and the white guy, and I wanted to fight all three of them. I wanted to fight a Zuma Nelson and or Rocky Lockridge first, because and here's the reason why. this is the reason why I think here's the change in boxing, because I wanted to fight either one of those two, not because I thought I could beat them, but because I knew they were going to be damn good fights. Because neither one of them guys took a step backwards, and neither did I. When the bell rings, I come at you. I don't care. Uh, that's how I fight, and that's how they fought. And I'm not going to say I could beat both of them, but I'm not going to tell you that they're whooping my butt either, because that ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
Because you go out there at full force. And Zuma Nelson was that one guy that I really wanted to fight him, just because he was a bad dude, and I really wanted to fight him because I thought it would be good. I thought it was going to be a great fight. I guess for me, getting hit is like a pump. It's like if someone hits me hard, I go, oh, okay. It's kind of like a pump. It's kind of like, okay, now this is going to be a good fight. So that's the reason why I wanted to fight the three champions. I never got a chance because by the time you fought Rocky Lockridge, you won. Then there's a rematch clause in there, and this is all before I knew all this stuff. So I had to give him a rematch, and by the time I gave him a rematch, then Molina was bigger money. So then the Molina fight came. By the time I was ready to fight or get a chance to fight Azuma Nelson, he had retired. So he's the one that got away. But at that time in the late '80s, Azuma Nelson, I missed out. Azuma, if you're out there listening, I'm not saying I would have whooped you. I would have whooped you, but it would have been a damn good fight. It really would have.
That's right. Hey Tony, this is gonna conclude this first part right here. We're just gonna stop it and then we'll restart it. But I appreciate you, man, and we'll be back with part 2.